And we're rock and rolling. Dean, how are you, sir? You okay?
How you doing? All good, man.
I'm all good. We were just saying before we come on, I'm up north, you're down south. I think my weather's been a bit better than yours lately, but it's all going to change in the next couple of days.
It's not been too bad. Obviously, yesterday we had the floods and a little bit of a washout, but hey, that's if you was out there. I was indoors, to be honest. I was recovering. Lovely, heavy weekend.
Going out partying. Did you catch the Joyce Takam fight?
Yeah. I watched it a few times now. Watched it yesterday, and then I watched it again in the gym with the boys today. So yeah, caught of it. It was a good fight. It was Takam was doing really well. A lot of people said they had him kind of winning. I don't know. He put some. Listen, the juggernaut's the juggernaut, man. Look, he walked through some real big demon shots. He ate them, and it just kept coming. The stoppage, I can understand why the ref done it because there was a lot of unanswered shots, but the experience of Takam should have been at play, and they should have at least gave him a standing 8 or at least allowed him to go down and get a stand, an 8 count or something, because he's been through the certain weather and storms, and he's been in with who of who's, in boxing. So, they should have given him that opportunity because he's a tough man, just like Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce was eating a lot of big overhands. I understand that he didn't show any chinks, but, you can't keep eating that kind of leather. You know what I mean? So it was a bit, I felt like Takam was still in there. After I watched it again today, I felt like the stoppage, it wasn't as, when I watched it first, I said, okay. And I watched it again today. I saw that he was still in there. He was still making moves. He was still trying to, ride the shots and so on. But what I did say, he should have tried to hold. That is his downfall. I don't know why a lot of the fighters don't try and hold. If you're going to get hit and you can't, stop the tide of the punches, try and wrap up and tie up and do something. You know what I mean? That was a shame. But look, Joe Joyce did what he does, man. He moves on, and now he becomes WBO mandatory #1.
Let's talk about Joe for me. I do want to come back to Carlos because I still think there's a whole narrative around him. There's still loads of ways he could go. But on Joe for a minute, I was watching the fight, and what I do is I watch it on one screen and I have Twitter up on the other, just so I can see what people are saying and see what it's like being in a bar almost. Overhearing other people talking about it. And I saw a couple of people saying, "Oh, is Joe Joyce marked up already? Oh, he's showing," and I'm thinking, have you seen a Joe Joyce fight before? This is what he does. This is why he's called the Juggernaut. But I'm looking at it thinking, okay, he's done kind of what we expected him to do. But I think you touched on it there. He can't go forward and keep doing that forever. If he goes up against an Anthony Joshua, for example, who's throwing serious leather and he's just trying to take him, it's not going to go down well for him.
I think in the long term it doesn't go down well for him. If he kind of eats those shots later on, we saw what happened to Muhammad Ali and a lot of the, them guys who kind of went through their shot and their career. And taking those kind of shots. Rest in peace to him. But look, it's not a good way to defend with your chin. I saw him doing different stuff. He's had different trainers over the years, and he has tried to adapt certain things. And he is deceptively skillful. He's got a great jab. He punches hard. His hands are very heavy. But listen, when you go up against the real big punches in the division, I'm just wondering how it's actually all going to stack up his chin versus some dandy mic that is being thrown, against some of the real big punches in the division. But one thing, he's relentless. He can take a shot. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see him and Anthony Joshua because he's a big old brute. You know what I mean? Yeah. He is solid. So I think, to be honest, anyone who faces him is probably going to have quite a decent, tough night because how solid his chin is. But it'd be interesting to see. Look, we saw him being hurt to the body by Brian Jennings. So we know, there can be dents in his armor. Someone like Dillian facing, I don't think Dillian would face him because he probably wouldn't think that there's anything beneficial unless he wins that WBO title. But Dillian digging him to the body or something, or Dillian catching a hook and throwing a catch hook. It'd be interesting how he responds to those kind of guys. Deontay Wilder. I heard there's talk of Luis Ortiz he's got a really good resume for someone of only 13 fights, to be honest with you. But it is interesting. Even Dereck Chisora will be interesting to see how he is. But to be honest, Joe is relentless, and Joe's fitness and cardio is renowned. So and sometimes Dereck does tire down the stretch. But at the same time, Dereck throws some big shots to the body and loops them over the top. So, it's going to be good times ahead to see how he actually does with the elite boys.
I know what you're saying, right? And if I, as a boxing listener, as a fan, stack all those guys up. I like to see it. But from a management perspective, if you're looking after Joe Joyce and you've got this #1 WBO status, unless there's something, either serious money or another belt in the line, which there obviously isn't going to be, why would you go for a Chisora or a Gillian or I don't know, half of those names you mentioned? It just seems like a bit of an unnecessary risk. I think he's sort of in a catch-22 now, Joe. He can't really win in his next fight.
Well, there is that, but the business side of this is really where the politics kicks into play. Because look, the mandatory for the WBO, I can't see when that actually goes into play, because the mandatory is now, which is going to be Usyk versus Adrian. After that mandatory, it's probably going to be like a 2-year wait. So what is he going to be? Joe Joyce is probably one of the oldest guys in the heavyweight division. Maybe, I don't know, maybe John T. Wilder is probably a little bit older, and then Joe Joyce or something like that, or roughly the same age. But does he sit on the sideline another 2 years waiting for his shot? He's only going to be getting older, so he probably wants to keep active and keep himself flowing and getting his rhythm and getting experience under his belt as a heavyweight pro. What he's been doing, like I said, he's faced some really good names, and he's done tremendous as far as I'm concerned in his career. The only blip I would say is, for me, the Brian Jennings fight, which I thought maybe Brian Jennings might have won, and obviously went to the distance and he got it. I don't know, that was quite close. I thought he took a lot of punishment in there, and Brian was doing some good shots and riding some of the stuff. He hurt him to the body. He was doing some really good stuff, and I felt like he might have just nicked it. But look, he got the win, doesn't matter. But look, he's there now, he's at the top, he's got weight. I heard them talking about him, they're talking about Ortiz, King Kong. Those are good, decent names, but they're really small guys compared to Joe Joyce. He's got a solid jab. He's big, he's strong, he's fit, he's relentless. So those guys, I don't know how that fares. The Dereck Chisora fight is interesting, because Dereck Chisora punching with his whole body with them small gloves on. I'd like to see how Joe Joyce's chin stacks up, but yet again, network issues might be at play here. But there is some whispers in the pipeline, some other things are going on. So we might see Joe Joyce somewhere else in the near future.
He's teasing, but now you say so Dereck Chisora is an interesting one, because he always brings entertainment, right? He doesn't always get the win, but you just know that things are going to happen. You know that the build-up's going to be great and everything else. He's moved trainer from Buddy to Dave Caldwell. I think, if I'm right saying, he's returning to Dave Caldwell. He trained with him before, hasn't he?
That's right.
He's moved on from David Hay. And I'm looking at Dereck Chisora and I'm thinking, how many fights have you got left in you? Because you're making these moves like you've got big ambitions left to go, and fair play to you if you have. Maybe he's going to throw his name in the hat, if you like, for a Joe Joyce, because he obviously still feels like he's got something to prove. He's moved to another top level coach. He's making moves with his manager, etc., etc. So he's clearly not ready to give up yet.
No, absolutely not. I spoke to him actually last week, phoned me and told me that he was actually going back to Caldwell. He says he's going to go up to Sheffield or whatever it is, Doncaster, where they're going to be, and he's going to do his thing, And he seemed quite happy. He seemed jovial that things are going to be going on, and some big fights are in the near future for him and stuff. So it's looking interesting, But I don't know. They had their little stuff, him and David, and he's gone their separate way. And then he said, obviously, Buddy has got Callum now. So he said, look, I don't want to be going and traveling to America and stuff. It's better I'm down here and I do my thing and I concentrate, and I've got someone's going to concentrate on me and get me in the right frame of mind. So let's see what happens, man. Excuse. well, it's good times for him. Look, he's got a lot left in him, man. I'm not gonna lie. That Usyk fight was very close. The Parker fight had him nicking that. So I think there's still big fights for him. I feel like I'd like to see that Joe Joyce fight, but I don't know. Joe Joyce is coming up. He's doing good things. They've put a lot behind him. They backed him. But does that fight do good numbers if they try and do that as a pay-per-view? I'm not too sure. He's still building his credibility. Joe Joyce and Parker.
Yeah. No, sorry, no. Chisora Parker rematch.
Oh, a rematch. Oh yeah, I think that'd be good. You know, he's a household name here, Parker still. Joe Joyce is doing his thing, and the Juggernaut, I'm not gonna lie, is making his waves. I don't know. I'm not sure that the pay-per-view side. He doesn't really. I know he's starting to talk and trying to talk, but he's got Sam Jones, does a great job behind him. You know, big mouth, big personality, does the stuff. He does the talking, so he can do a lot of the talking and selling the fight for him still. But I don't know, is it enough? Will it bring the pay-per-view numbers that people are looking for? I'm not sure that he's there yet. Chisora is there, big fan favorite.
The Bois wasn't pay-per-view, was it? So if Joyce Dubois wasn't pay-per-view, then with all due respect to Joyce and Chisora, I don't think that one is either. You know, I feel like
you got to look at it's different. Chisora is a pay-per-view fighter anyway, irrespective. He's been a pay-per-view fighter and he's proven that he can draw the numbers on Sky and do the stuff. And now he's going to be fighting on the Zone. I don't know if the Zone actually has pay-per-view, but I think that is a different situation because I think Sky will still do a lot of the pay-per-view stuff, or Matchroom will do a lot of the pay-per-view stuff with Sky. That's what I've heard through the grapevine how it works, because I don't think the Zone has that pay-per-view facility just yet. Yeah. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I've heard those whispers. I like the whispers. I like to get data, keep it in the bank. So we'll see. But no, Chisora is a proven pay-per-view fighter, man. He's done it. He sells out the arenas. He's done it with Spilker. He's done it with David Price. There's loads of fights where he's doing these things. You know what I mean?
Let's speak about the other fighter on Saturday night then, Carlos Takam, because I can't remember who it was that said it. Someone, I think it was maybe Dave Colwell, said with all due respect to him, he's sort of the gatekeeper to that level now. Not maybe not too dissimilar from Chisora, and obviously those two have fought in the past. Carlos, I feel, you know, he said publicly he wants the rematch with Joyce. Whether he'll get it, I'm not so sure. He obviously still rates himself. He still believes in himself, and based on his performance on Saturday night, he's still got reason to. He whether you had him up or down, it was certainly close. He was certainly laying hands on Joe Joyce, and he's got reason to back himself against anyone in the division because he hung in so well against AJ.
Look, I think he thinks he wants a rematch with AJ. He wants a rematch with Joe Joyce, and why not? Look, he was in there until they had to stop it. But obviously, it's the way he went back on the last few punches that made it look more dramatic. But he was still in there. Yet again, I can't keep saying it enough. Guys got to know how to wrap up and tie up, you know, when they're under siege and that, and not use their face as punching bags. Maybe it's easier said than done. But listen, mate, I don't know. You got to implement that in your training, you know what I mean? Klitschko and those guys are really good at that kind of thing. Joshua is doing it a lot more lately, doing these combinations and wrapping up fighters and then turning them and leaning on them, trying to drain their energy. You know what I mean? You can't sit there taking a battering and taking all these punches. It's going to catch up to you. But no, going back to Takam, and I think, look, that fight with Joshua, that was another one. But obviously Joshua's moving on, he's doing big things, looking to get this fight out of the way with Usyk, and then we'll see if we get the big undisputed fight that everyone's looking for, or whatever's on the table next. Yeah. But you know what? Why let Joe Joyce and Takam run it back? But are they going to do that? I'm not too sure. I don't know what Queensby's budget is and if they think it's viable, if they think it's even doable, because probably they had to pay a lot of money to get the services someone like Carlos Takam, and I'm not sure if their wallets are that deep these days.
What did you think of Joe Joyce's entrance costume?
Do you know what? A lot of people was getting onto him about that little helmet thing he had on. This mad, the Juggernaut. Look, you can only laugh at him, man. Look, he's trying, man. He's trying to be entertaining. He's doing what he's meant to do in the ring. And I ain't got too much to say about that.
Yeah, I thought I think it's one of the IFL guys tweeted about it, saying, to be fair, whoever designed it has played a blinder. Sorry, not whoever designed it, it's a character, I believe, but whoever's had the idea to put it on Joe's played a blinder, because everybody was talking about it. It drew more eyeballs to the fight, so it's done its job. Okay, so I think we've kind of covered the Joe stuff and the Takam stuff. I don't know which one we see out next. I don't know if part of me thinks we're probably in for a little bit of a wait now before we see Joe Joyce out again, because, like you say, he's going to want to see how everyone else performs, how AJ does, how he does, what the spill out is from that, what Chisora's got lined up next, what blah blah blah's got lined up next. But it's certainly an active team. It seems like boxing's opening back up again now. The season seems to be coming back in a little bit earlier than usual. So we've got some big fights coming up to keep an eye on. Sonny Edwards announced that he was fighting again on that fight, so we'll get him back on soon. Just very quickly, who are you backing this weekend for fight camp?
Conor Ben and Granados, or Fowler and his opponent. There's quite a lot of fights on it. Fowler's a decent guy like Fowler. We get on. So I'd always be backing him. Conor Ben, I'm going to be, I back him definitely. Another countryman. Who's on there? Who else is on there?
Arman Campbell's on there. Campbell.
Let's see if Campbell's improved from his last two outings. He was in Gibraltar, then he was out again in Manchester. Let's see where he's at. If he's gained any experience and if he's got any improvements to make. He's a young man developing. He's got a big weight on his shoulder with the name Hatton, the family name. And let's see if he's made any strides, any steps in the gym and shown any composure. That's going to be interesting to watch him on Saturday. And I can't really recall anyone else, but
Chris Billam Smith's on the card.
Yes, that's an interesting fight. Chris Billam Smith versus McCarthy. That is a fight I definitely want to watch. Because cruiserweight division, two big lads, and those are two boys. Richard Riakpor's faced and beat, and I think that one with Chris Billam Smith was very close. He got the stoppage over McCartney. I'd like to see how McCartney does, because they're both talented fighters, both done pretty well as amateurs. So I mean, there's a lot in this one, riding and to see where, in the division and see where, who's going where and what's going on, and see who's fighting next to be, that kind of champ underneath a Coley. I was out of him on Saturday, funny, I mean, I had a chat with him. But we'll try and see him on there as well. Told him, listen, buddy, you got to come with all your belts. We want to see what's going on.
Yeah, we want to see it. The other one to watch this weekend on Fight Camp is Lee Wood fighting Zhu Chan or Chan Zhu. I'm not sure which way around you're supposed to say it.
I've heard the name, but not too familiar.
Fight for a world title. He's up against Zhu Chan, the monster from China, and he's going up against Lee Wood, who's I think looking good after he had a loss in the not too distant past, but I think he's bounced back from it quite well. He's Dave Caldwell fighter, so it's always interesting. Wanted. So yeah, fight camp this weekend. I'm sure we'll catch up after it. I'm going to let you run on because it's pretty late now in the evening, so we've got things to do. But listen, Dean, always good to catch up, and we'll see you soon.
Catch up, man. No doubt.